I'm sure you can relate to this. One too many times I have scrolled through my extensive collection of games that I've never touched and went, damn, I guess there's nothing to play. And then continued to slam my head into the ungodly blunder that is hard stuck bronze in Valorant. The moment that pushed me, I had a week before I started my new job. A last chance at freedom before the cogs of capitalism dragged me back into the machine to crush my bones. And I've been at this job for 9 months now, so capitalism wins again. No matter what, had to beat at least 7 games. Doesn't matter how short or long they are, just 7. Spoiler alert, we did beat more than 7. I also stream most of them over on twitch.tv, so if you ever want to catch me live, that is the place to go.
The panning shot and his ass is so fucking perky. You wish your ass was that perky.
So we're gonna run through all of the games that I played in those 7 days and rank them using dating analogies. Kind of feels weird, but I'm too committed to the bit. Starting with F tier, right at the bottom. The stuff that just kind of fucking sucks. Playing BattleBlock Theatre in 2023 feels like going on a date with someone that reminds you of an ex. You have classic noRugrats aesthetic. It all just gives you a fat whiff of nostalgia. Then as the date goes on and you get past the lovely presentation, you start to realize why you're not with your ex that BattleBlock reminds you of. Regardless of how charming the aesthetics are, BattleBlock Theatre is ultimately a platformer, and I don't like platformers. Not a bad game, it's just not my cup of tea. And the date with the weird theater kid making noRugrats animations in high school, not a bad date. Just not one I would go on again. Next up is Hellbound. And playing Hellbound after trying the demo is kind of like being catfished by a pretty reasonable looking profile on a dating app. They're reasonably attractive, you have reasonably good chemistry, you book a reasonably nice restaurant, and you expect to have a reasonably nice time. That's not how things play out. On the box, Hellbound promises a 90s FPS 30 years later, but there are some things that should have stayed in the 90s. So you both get to the restaurant, and first impressions aren't too bad. It looks good, it moves well, expectations are reasonably met so far. But the rest of the night just goes downhill from here. Your first round of drinks have only just hit the table, and your date with Hellbound is not going well. Switches and doors are not clearly marked.
What fucking door is it opening? Because I sure as hell don't see it. I can like sort of hear it, but that might just be the... Ah, okay, that's really non-intuitive.
There are several very different enemy types that do very different things that share very similar silhouettes. So telling this imp demon thing from this imp demon thing at a glance or a busy room is actually really fucking difficult.
Oh, you're purple this time. I don't know what that means. And same thing with like these ones that throw fireballs and these runner ones. Very similar silhouette, except for the way that they move, and very similar sound, if not the same sound. Okay.
By the time your main meals have come and gone, Hellbound is showing you a roller coaster of experiences, and you kind of just want to get off. Once dessert hits the table, you can see that your vision's starting to go blurry, and maybe you've had a couple too many drinks, and... No, okay, that's actually my computer just struggling to run the final level. I don't know why. It really doesn't seem that intensive, but it crashed multiple times.
Because I don't know what's causing it. He's gonna do the slammy one now. Yeah. We're back. We shall see if... No, it's already struggling. What the fuck is going on?
And really not a great note to end the night on. It's a good thing that we have a date booked with a very similar game. So that's later in the video. So moving on to C tier now, which is not the worst stuff, but not the greatest either. I've got to be really careful with the analogy that I use here because it's out of my depth, treading into unknown territory. But the parts of LEGO Star Wars 3 that have you commanding little clone squadrons is like being the head of a harem. Anyway, moving swiftly forward. After playing the shit out of the Skywalker saga last year, I still had a bit of that LEGO Star Wars itch. So I went and grabbed LEGO Star Wars 3, which I never actually played growing up. Let's give it a shot. Let's see which nostalgic value it holds, especially because the Clone Wars era is very close to my heart. Nostalgia aside, it is still Lego Star Wars. The combat's still mostly button mashing, and the puzzles are designed for 7-year-olds, so it really got my noggin going. But regardless of that, there are a couple of sections of the game that I think were actually really, really interesting that I was kind of disappointed they didn't re-explore those ideas in the Skywalker Saga. Much like the Clone Wars series that LEGO Star Wars 3 is based on, the game does a really good job of making each clone trooper feel unique. So giving each weapon a unique function made levels like Rookies go from a kind of bog standard LEGO Star Wars level to actually kind of enjoyable. Being able to command your little clone squadron ties into the other part of the game that I think is really good, which are the ground assault missions. The ground assault missions have you constructing cannons and barracks and stuff, typical RTS things to get more clones out and then break shields and then take other control points. And it's really simple, coming from someone that does love their RTS games. Yeah, it's baby's first RTS, but it is enjoyable the first couple of times, and then you realize that they're all the same level, basically. Overall, if you want a little layer of nostalgia trip, I'm not going to go into the clone trooper dating analogy again, because there's going to be a joke about incest, and I don't want to do that. Playing Machinarium, I don't know how it's pronounced.
Machinarium.
Regardless, playing Machinarium is kind of like getting hit up by someone you went on a date with, but you don't remember going on a date with them. And like you look back on your calendar and you're like, oh yeah, we did go on a date, but you just don't remember it. It's like that. The game's been sitting in my library forever. Don't know when I bought it. It's not the sort of game that I would buy, but it looks cute. I love the art. And so I was like, yeah, fuck it. Okay, we can play this. The sort of surreal art style shows up a lot of nostalgia for something I can't remember the name of, but if I can figure it out by the time I edit the video, I will put it on screen here. If it's on screen, this is what Machinarium reminds me of. But the gameplay itself is pretty flawed. Think of Machinarium's controls as a gates conversation going off the rails, no matter what you do. You'll say something to try and steer the conversation one way, but your date will interpret it a completely different way, and you end up in jail. I have not ended up in jail on any of my dates yet. Aside from the movement, the inventory was also really annoying to pull up, and it just felt like it was a really lazy port of a mobile game, which isn't the case because the Windows version came out a full year before the iOS version did. So I think it's just bad controls. Fat thumbs up for the music, the art, the general atmosphere. Fucking loved it. But the gameplay itself and the clunky mechanics, I don't love point-and-click adventures. A really clunky point-and-click adventure is not selling me. Onto the B tier, the stuff that is actually pretty good. Some of these were surprises to me. So I'm excited to get to the first one, which is the 2015 Tomb Raider reboot, which to me has kind of always had spotted in this life, like the popular girl that like everyone just loves. And you just don't get you don't see the appeal. Then somehow, maybe because you're not particularly interested, that's an appealing thing. You end up going on a date with Tomb Raider at some point, and you get coffee and you get it off this good chemistry. While you don't necessarily want to continue dating Tomb Raider, you also get the feel now. I don't like cinematic games. When the Tomb Raider reboots came out, didn't seem like my cup of tea. Cinematic games, no, I think. That being said, surviving this horrific cult island with Lara, thoroughly enjoyable. I think part of that is because my expectations were quite low. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it all that much. And so when I went into it and then I was quite enjoying it, it was like, oh shit, this shit goes kind of hard. I do have some gripes, like Lara's movement can be a little inelegant, particularly when it comes to jumping, which ledges you can grab onto. Sometimes also a little unclear. In some areas, it's like very clearly marked, and in other areas, it's not that bad. Just like when you go on a date, and it's kind of awkward and you don't really know what's safe to touch or not. But all of that aside, mostly little gripes that don't really detract from the overall experience. And I think it was a really solid game that I would highly recommend to just about anyone. Also in B tier, Shady Knight. Playing through the Shady Knight demo, it's kind of like going to lunch with someone without it being super clear if you're on a date or not. There's intense chemistry, you're both clearly having a good time. Neither of you want to make the first move because you don't want to misread the situation. But then the date just kind of comes to an end. Both go home and then it doesn't go anywhere. Shady Knight is just a demo. It's not a complete game yet. And until I see the final product, it's just one of those dates that just doesn't go anywhere. I really enjoyed the combat. There's a lot of depth to it, both in what it teaches you right at the start, but then also what you figure out through experimenting. And I love games that like teach you just enough for you to make it to that other level. And then the rest of them, they're like, cool, you know the basics, figure out the rest. Love that. Great game design. The aesthetic, great, runs super smoothly, and color replayability because of the awesome scoring system. I'm going to probably put Shady Knight in B tier when the full game comes out, but because it is just a demo, it's going into D tier for demo. Not because it's bad, just because it's a demo. But I highly recommend it. Yeah, Shady Knight shares quite a lot of elements with one of the games in S tier, which we're getting to now. So before we get to the games that made it to the bedroom, some honorable mentions, or dishonorable mentions, because it was Dishonored 2. This game I really wanted to enjoy. I just found it so grating in comparison to Dishonored 1. It's something that I've had an issue with a lot of games, like Mirror's Edge Catalyst, where your very linear game goes into a more open world format, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I get why they did it for Mirror's Edge. I sort of get it why Arcane did it for Dishonored, but it annoyed me too much. I didn't enjoy it. On a similar note of making games bigger than they need to be, Shadow of War, another game that I really wanted to enjoy. I fucking love Shadow of Mordor. That's one game of very few that I've 100%ed. I just didn't do it, man. It just felt so tedious. Like you were just running so far to do every little thing. It wasn't fun. Celeste also didn't make it to the bedroom. Phrasing. No, we're sticking with the dating jokes. Like I said with BattleBlock Theatre, sometimes you go on a date with someone and you don't date that type of person for a reason, right? And as much as I love the music and art direction of Celeste, I love platformers, and so it didn't get very far in it. Out of all the games I played, it was one of the ones I really, really wanted to enjoy, but it just didn't happen. With that out of the way, shall we head over to the bedroom? We're staying in the spider suit, don't get any ideas. That didn't sound good. And so finally, we get to the sex tier of games. Cyberpunk is a mad night out, dancing till the wee hours of the morning, which is exactly what I did, because I played through the entire game in one sitting. It was like 4 a.m. when I finished it. Keeping your coordination about you when you're that exhausted? Not easy. Cyberpunk is your neon dream of being Spider-Man, but also with finger guns. And I'm not joking about that last part. He has finger guns. It's kind of like Geometry Dash, but 3D. From the pounding synthwave barriers to the non-stop requirement to adapt this every single fucking second. Oh, Cyberpunk just scratched that itch for me. Mechanically, just was really good to play. It's so simple and straightforward to pick up, but there's still a really high skill ceiling. And honestly, Cyborg's mad dash to the finish is so thrilling and addicting. The only thing I can compare it to is ecstasy on the dance floor. If you're a party animal looking for a frenzied night out, Cyberhook's probably gonna scratch that itch for you. Ultrakill is that first date that you fumble.
Yeah, now that I've got the hang of hitting the coin.
The first time I played it, something just doesn't really mesh, and so you just go about your lives. That's what I did when I played other games. After a few months, I found myself craving that high-octane movement shooter itch, and so I hit up Ultrakill, like, hey, yo, baby girl, you want to go round 2? And we went round 2. I don't know what didn't click with me the first time, but everything just fell into place with that second attempt at a date. Ultrakill has very easily gone into my top 5 games. It's one of those games that is like, how do I describe this? And even when I've read it in the script, it doesn't feel like it does it justice. It's everything that I loved about Doom Eternal, but dialed up to fucking 15. Amazing enemy variety, readable silhouettes, frantic combat, non-stop, awesome arenas.
Ooh. This is what you call lust, baby.
I love the aesthetic. The music goes so hard. Combat that actually forces you to learn all different weapons because you actually need to use all of them effectively. And lest me forget the best part, the scoring system. If you want something that has massive level of challenge, or super high skill ceiling, and basically infinite replayability, Ultrakill is it. First time that you go up against V2, I'm just banging my head against that boss fight port so fucking long.
We're whiffing so hard. There we go. Come on. Yes! Let's go, gamers!
And now to get in P rank, you've got to beat it in under a minute. So that's what I fucking did. I got good. And that's the sort of push that I love in games, where it's like, yeah, okay, you can make it to the end by just doing okay enough, but you want to get that perfect rank? Do it in 52 seconds. Fucking shit, bitch. Bet you can't do that. If Ultrakill is that awkward first date that blossoms into something actually really beautiful, Metal Gear Rising is the person that you matched with on your dating app of choice, who then just sent you nudes like 3 or 4 messages in. I've never had a game go off the rails as quickly as Revengeance does, and I am here for it.
God, this game goes so hard.
All the memes aside, I am so glad that I finally got the opportunity to sit down and play Revengeance. Also, race through it with one of my best friends. We even put money on it. And spoiler, I lost. So the last 45 minutes of that stream where I can tell that I really lost. Ooh.
Varg's is gonna spend an hour fighting Armstrong and then I can catch up.
I love that the bosses are designed to challenge you on the skills that you might not be using, like that stupid fucking robot dog. Oh my god, I learned parry.
You're fucking done, you stupid dog.
It was really embarrassing to go up against that for an ungodly amount of time. If you're looking for something that is ultra violent, ultra funny,
The DNA of the soul.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is the game for you. Anyway, with that, we have completed our tier list. Biggest thing I've learned from this video is I'm never using dating analogies in a video ever again.